Okay, are we live? We're live.
Are we?
Yes, we're live. Hello.
Ah, sweet. Hello, hello.
Wow, look at that. All right, cool. We're up and running. I'm gonna share
Sweet.
screen just so
Right.
you can see who we're reviewing.
Yeah. Because I have no clue. I'm going in blind.
Yeah,
We're
man.
gonna, but it's just gonna be general
That's why it's the best.
portfolio review. Sweet. The
Yeah,
good old portfolio review.
back to basics.
Oh right, a weapon portfolio. Sweet.
Weapon boys.
Weapon boys. Oh,
Weapon
prop boys. Yeah, I
boys.
really like. Yeah, prop portfolios. They're like the portfolios are like some of the like when you have a really good prop portfolio, you can really dig in and enjoy like just looking at the small props and the details into it. I really appreciate the prop portfolios.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite portfolios. I'm not gonna lie.
I think so. Like ultimately, and I think like it's good just seeing what people do like really well and like where like you can catch things that need to be improved in general.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's very focused.
yeah.
Oh, Vector, Chris Vector, sweet.
Hey,
Actually,
everyone's got to have one. Come on, everyone's got to have a
oh
Chris
yeah.
Vector.
I was about to say like Chris Vector was like one of the absolute first models I ever wanted to create, and I started it, but it never got. I mean, I finished it, but I never finished it as like texture it or something like that. I just like modeled it and and cut out some details into it. Absolute first model, I
I think
think.
I think you're a bit notorious though for doing that in general. I mean, you're the ultimate guy that just makes a million projects but never posts them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I have a good tendency of that. I mean, I do finish them, but I don't post them.
Yeah.
Um, Reasons are quite unknown. I just don't. I don't know. Like I should post stuff more, but as of lately, I've just been focusing on like a lot of other stuff, like just getting into more logic stuff and Unreal related stuff, and try to use like whatever skills I have as a 3D artist to complement making some sort of game project or something like that. And like the next time I'm gonna show something I've been working on art wise is probably gonna be in 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 something a little bit more intricate, like something more advanced. Uh, but oh, this one is pretty nice. I like the design. Is this a real gun or?
Um, mm, let's, let's see. Yep.
Let's see. Oh, sweet, cool. It kind of looks like one of those paintball guns.
I think
Kind of reminds me.
I think it's like an airsoft or something like that. Maybe.
Oh, is that an airsoft?
Maybe.
That's a 10 millimeter. It's like I don't know. Is it yeah, it could punch a hole, can it? Kind of looks like I have a really
No,
thick receiver.
no, they're actually. It's a real gun. It's an
It's
actual
a real
gun.
gun. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Oh, nice. Yeah, this is pretty decent. Like it's has some pretty good material definition, some good contrast between the materials, and I really like the foam in contrast to the gunmetal on the
Yeah.
stock. Um,
Guess
it's
like
pretty
I
nice.
feel like the one thing where it kind of, in my opinion, holds back is I don't know. How old is this? It's 9 months.
Nuts.
I think like the lighting and the presentation, and like I don't know, from my opinion, it could be stronger. And I also think like I don't know. I mm, sorry, just gonna
Yeah, they could be a little bit better popping, like and like a little bit of like more contrast in the texture work. Probably take a little bit more. Um, yeah, I think yeah, I think probably need to take a look at some of the values in the PBR as well, because it kind of looks a little bit stylized. It doesn't look hyper realistic. I think maybe there is like a thought behind it where the artist was like, yeah, I'm just gonna stylize it a little bit like the texture style, because it's not like a realistic texture style. It's just more like the good old days when we did a little bit more stylized textures. But I do appreciate that. Like I think that's kind of appeals and pops a little bit. But maybe take a look at the PBR values a little bit and try to make some more contrast between more materials. Like the gunmetal would be nice to have a little bit, maybe some more contrast between the plastic, because the plastic and the gunmetal looks kind of similar.
Apparently, he believes that he spent a lot of time on the texturing phase to achieve correct materials.
Oh, okay.
I don't. Yeah.
The reason why I say is like there is some areas where they kind of look dull. They don't really look like metals, like where the metal kind of shines through the gunmetal coating. For example,
he's done the Tim Burkholt's thumbprint.
Oh yeah.
He's done the fingerprint. The Tim Burkholt. Yeah.
The good old fingerprint.
Yeah, the fingerprint.
I love peace. I don't know, like, yeah. I mean, it's nice to put like paintings on your weapon piece, like in 3D, but
yeah,
I don't know.
My biggest thing is like I think what happens, right? Like what really separates the professionals from sort of the more like amateur to student or the hobbyist, so to speak, is that like a lot of the professionals actually look at when someone does like a painting or something like this on the gun, they'll actually like think they do it in terms of like stock take on the weapons.
Yeah.
So like thoroughly researching why or what like the actual drawings on the guns mean themselves, instead of like just trying to do something that is a bit more like arcadey and comical. There's nothing wrong with it, but I think like if you're gonna go down that route, like I think provide context to it, because like ultimately I don't know, I just think that it's like one of those little fads, or it was cool like say 6 something years ago, but now it's kind of like it's not, weapon guys don't really like it. And I don't know, have you worked with any guys that are like super duper like sticklers on the weapons, just like from your point of view?
No, not really. Like I never really seen a purpose. I mean, the only purpose I would see, having stickers on weapons, if you have like the monetization methods in games, you have skins and stuff like that, customizable stuff. But I mean, like you have it in that kind of context. Is in the context of like monetization. I want to be sticking out from all the other players in this game. Therefore, I want to have a unique weapon, like Counter-Strike, for example. But in practical usage, if you go in, in a conflict situation, you don't. In any type of conflict, I don't see it as a good idea to be very cocky in real life. But let's say we want to do a game. Why would you have a smiley face, a pink smiley face on your weapon? I guess if you want to emphasize that you are some sort of terrorist or some sort of like anarchist or someone that doesn't really abide to any conventional warfare, probably because I don't know, like modifying your service weapon in a military situation is not really the best idea. I mean, you could probably like get away with it, like if at some point, but you don't really want to damage or alter the weapon too much. And I believe that what's it called? Putting paint or stickers or that says, other than like marking, say, serial number. So usually you can put like a sticker, like a tape bit on the weapon that
Well,
you
no,
put the serial number with the pen. That's
well,
it.
normally,
But
like when they tape stuff to weapons, right? It's like there's a tactical purpose for it. They're
yeah,
not
yeah,
just gonna tape a weapon because it's like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I love tape.
yeah,
I just like, yeah, I remember like watching some videos and stuff, and they were like having like military veterans review like the how realistic some of these tactical shooters were, etc. And like I don't know, they have like the guy swimming through the water, and he's like, yeah, like no way in hell would we ever do that to our firearms, because
yeah,
like it's like basically keeping our firearms clean and operable is like the biggest priority for us, like in the field. It's our equipment. You've got to like take care of your equipment. You can't just be
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
around with it. So
yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
that
like
that 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 is like if you want to really keep like some sort of realism to your work and to your weapon, and say, yeah, it's gonna be used in a military simulator, or it's gonna be in a very serious game. Uh, I mean, I would like initially looking at this one. I think you could do like a version without the stickers and say like, this is the regular version. This is just the gun. You can use this, and and people gonna see it like, this is usable. But having more of this fluff on, I mean, I'm probably speaking from my own experience. It will just say like, that's not really what we're looking for. Looking at before, it's like, we don't really looking for anarchistic weapons, and it can be cluttering, even though is a nice touch if you have it as like, an additional. Oh, look, by the way, I did a couple of skins for this weapon, and then have like a couple of pictures underneath it. That would be like, all right, cool. Well, you understand that some studios are actually going into getting monetization going on. So
yeah.
that's just a plus. So presenting it in that way, I think, would be quite good. Yeah.
I think ultimately it demonstrates like you're willing to explore different designs for the actual piece, and I think that's cool. I always like it when like artists take that extra mile to pretty much like just create variants of an asset, and a lot of studios, they're wanting that, especially once live service is becoming more and more of a thing. I believe, like, I don't know, we talked to studios and there's a lot of them still doing live service games. So,
Yeah,
yeah, like, definitely keeping that in
yeah,
mind and producing work.
yeah. That's on the market right now. Like, I think as you said, that's a great way to just see with your own work as an artist, because if you do understand modularity in weapons and customization, it could give you like an edge in some sort of application process as well. That some people that have been working in the industry for a very long time doesn't necessarily know how to do monetization and stuff like that, because they have, it's the first time they do it, and they kind of bring people in that have experience with that. So it's a good thing to keep in mind when applying to some studios, if the studio is going to have some sort of a game, or makes games with monetization in mind.
Hmm.
Oh, here we go. I think this. I'm not gonna attempt to pronounce your name. I don't want to butcher it. But the artist is kind of going for like a little bit more stylized texturing style.
Yeah.
It's what I'm looking at. Like, it doesn't really necessarily look like hyperrealism, but like stylized textures. Even though it's PBR, and metal looks like metal, but like the feel of it kind of looks like stylized, a little bit exaggerated. Um,
What about
Corners a little
like
bit.
textile density and stuff like that? Like, I feel like this stuff's definitely like it's older, so this is
Yeah.
newer. This is like 4 months old. Like, you can obviously, there's like
Yeah.
a increasing the quality. He's going for like the sniper elite kind of scope. Yeah, I like that he's like, yeah, he's been a little bit more selective about where he's placing his wear, and he's trying to be a bit more, he's thinking, he's building it
Yeah, yeah.
up, he's layering it, and
Also, he has some sort of framing going on. Maybe it's like unintentional, but I look at to explain what framing is like in textures like that. You have a little bit darker areas where you have AO happening, and then you have a little bit brighter areas where there is edges that are exposed. So just like for the color, like the green color, like you see, there's a darker green at the cavities, and
Mm.
then there is a brighter green at the edges. I don't know if it's intentional, but I really like to see those kind of things and details in textures, especially if it's like a painted material.
They do a
It's
lot
very
of
hard to make
thing in stylized games, right? Like, you know, if you got like a Blizzard game or a Riot game, like they kind of do a gradient from like basically it's brighter at the top and darker down the bottom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I think still that, you know, like people say like you should not put that in PBR, but I mean, if you want to do something stylized, you know, experiment, you know, break the rules a little bit. It's not always wrong, just to see if it works out or not. Maybe you found out like a really good way of doing it. So
Yeah, I
or
kind of agree with that, to be honest. Like I think your base material should really be PBR accurate, but like
yeah.
if you're trying to achieve like a particular effect, yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to break a couple rules. It's about kind of knowing when to break them, and
Yeah, exactly.
that's yeah, for me, like I'm not like a Nazi about PBR. I think it's very much like just make sure that for the most part like everything is PBR accurate, but you know, if there's certain stylizations that you can apply to the texture that give it a really nice unique effect, like go for it if it's within.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like some materials are really hard to achieve in PBR if you're gonna be really anal about like half metals, for example. It's like, you know, they're still metal, but they kind of shine a little bit. It's like, you know, 50% metalness, and they have a lot of like dialectic elements on top of them, like rust or dust or stuff like that. You know, those. I mean, if you put it in a lot of like PBR validation tools, they're gonna say like, no, this is wrong. Sorry. But the look of it looks pretty decent, like in the lighting condition. But then when you put it in the darkness, then it just completely destroyed. So it really depending on the light. I know I have worked with that a couple of times where I had, you know, I really want to have like some sort of coated metal, some sort of like half metal that kind of looks good. You know, some, you know, older metals that are on very old things, or like rusted or abandoned items that are made of metal. They are usually like I don't know what the real word is for them. I call them half metals. But they are never PPR accurate, at least from what I've seen. Like there probably is some very fine value that you can use that kind of gives you the same result. But I always try to fake them as much as possible. But and then you just pray that you have like a good lighting condition. Otherwise, oh shit.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I know like generally we do a lot of, you know, we've done a lot of texturing as well for games when it comes to the lighting setup as well. So sometimes not having it work in all lighting conditions isn't necessarily a bad thing, depending if that's part of the actual project's scope and brief. Like I don't, you know, I think.
Yeah, this is an extremely opinionated topic. Like some people
Oh,
say no PBR only, and then some people are, but we are artists. We need to just, you know, make something look good. And then the lighting artists come in. They're like, but it sucks up all the light. What the fuck?
I'll be
I
honest,
can't light this.
I really think that opinion comes from background though. I think like more technical orientated artists that come from like studios that are really trying to achieve like an ultra realism kind of look. I think that's more so the opinion there. But like when you, I don't know, I think stylized is where they kind of break the box. I'm gonna move on to the next folio because I think,
let's do that. Yeah, I think the previous folio was pretty good. Like there is a couple of things that I should just take a look at and make sure that work like even though I spend a lot of time on texturing, you just work even more on texturing. Because texturing, you can never go wrong with texture. This is really good. Yeah, this is a great texture.
I love this, man. A lot of storytelling. A lot of really just nice hand placed detail.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell he's really analyzed what he's been trying to make.
And also framing on the texture is also quite way very interestingly made. Like it's dirt. It's still I would still maybe like darken and light in some areas a little bit here and there, but there is still something good going on here. Like where you see like the big empty parts, they have some brighter tones, and then where the cavities happen, they are darker due to like dirt or color degradation or whatever.
You know what he's also done
Some bleaching.
well is areas of rest. So like
Yeah.
he's got some nice areas of rest, and then he's
Oh
got
yeah,
sort of
that's
like high frequency details in certain certain parts along the edges.
yeah. Something I really like is like the side of that thing where you have your mouse on, like you see the little smush that kind of goes around, like it really makes the thing very believable. Kind of like takes out your breath, like oh, nice. There is something cool going on there. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a really well done piece. I think I don't know if I could critique something on it. I think yeah. If you go like too close to it, like I think this piece is a really good asset if you have it a certain distance. But yeah, I guess like I would zoom out a little bit. Like here we go. Here we go. Something like the little rust thing that's on next to the a little bit to the right, to the right. If you can. So yeah, like where the orange is kind of peeled off. There. Those kind of like details, I know why they happen is because you have a height map, and the height map is kind of like not the greatest. But it's like if instead of doing that, do like the paint is kind of like bubbling off a little bit, or maybe remove the edge of the thing because it becomes a little bit too high frequent, and I don't know. I personally try to avoid that as much as possible and make it more like real paint, because usually paint doesn't feel like that exactly. But I mean, it's still well done. Like if you move up, for example, a little bit where the paint kind of goes from the brown to the metal on the spinny bit, right above it. I don't know if you can. Yeah. So it's a little bit harsher contrast between the paint and the metal underneath it, and it still looks like there has been some there. Oh, yeah, in the same picture actually.
Same picture.
Yeah. So yeah, where we have your mouse right now, like that area over there.
Oh, where it blends.
Oh, a little bit over, like to the right. Up. That's the area. Yeah. So you see like how the paint kind of like peels off nicely.
Yeah, transition.
A little bit. Yeah. So it's not like super crunchy and naughty. That's what I would say. Like, yeah, that's a good paint peel if it's like hit or peeled off by age or something like that. It doesn't break up, but it kind of like bends up a little bit, and then usually doesn't have any crunchiness. It's just a thing. But yeah.
Trying to get a good just in-game example of paint peeling.
There's very few.
I've got one that I know about. Just trying to get the right screenshot, to be honest with you. What's the name?
So I think from metal. I think I'm just gonna Google peeling paint from metal. Yeah. I mean, this is a small image. Oh no, it's actually a pretty huge image. I know this is not the same kind of object, but it kind of like shows the point a little bit. The image of PS sent right there. Like the paint doesn't necessarily need to be crunchy at the edges, but it's sharp and crispy, and it's not like it doesn't have too many like smooth or round edges and pieces. And if you could do like a paint peel, it kind of peels off. This is probably done on a wall rather than a small object. I think this is actually pretty decent. Like this substance painter peel paint effect. I think it's like one of the smart materials in there as well. That's I don't know. Like I would probably say like this is okay. Still a little bit too much happening in the edges and the corners of it. But if we really want to go like into detail, we can really go into detail. But I know there is some. Yeah.
I know the effect that you're talking about. There's yeah, because like I don't know. I've had an assignment in the past where we've taken a really deep look at how paint feels. I'm just trying to find the image that that's like publicly available that we can use as a reference piece.
Yeah.
It's just hard, man. It's hard. Alright, yeah, I'm not gonna find it. I wish I had this up. This is really, really valuable. Dude,
Yeah,
I hate
peeling
it.
paint is really nice. But in general, I would say this is a great piece.
Yeah, I think like in general, like if you want to showcase an asset and you really want to stand out as a props artist, like it's not perfect, but you know, it's pretty up there in my like opinion. I think like you want to be a props artist, like this is really the bar like you want to be like aiming for. This should be like kind of considered like an exemplar.
Yeah. There's also one thing that I noticed like while looking at this. There is some areas like the screws kind of look strange a little bit. And maybe it's like a high poly thing or like a bake thing. It kind of look. I don't know. Nah, maybe it's just my eye. I think I saw like a screw or like something like that. They kind of looked weird, but never mind. Yeah, I agree with what you say, Bryce. This is a pretty good. I would say like looking at your portfolio as a whole, like yeah, this is a keeper definitely, and just add more to the portfolio. Like as a props artist, like I guess you really want to see like a variation of assets that you could do, and that you also are quite productive with the assets. Because if I took a look at like a prop artist portfolio and just saw like one or two assets, but they were really good, I would still like consider like this is a pretty good individual that knows his stuff. But is he productive? Like, how long does it take him to do these two assets? Is that the reason why I only have two assets in his portfolio, or is there any other reasons? Maybe he has a hidden portfolio or a secret portfolio, something like that.
To be honest, like I probably wouldn't doubt it if he did have a secret folio. Well, no, look, like here's some stuff he's done
some hard surface stuff. Yeah.
The Decagon. There, looks like it's more like high poly stuff.
Oh, that's another one.
He's had another one. Yeah, he's had another one.
He's not tired of making. Yeah, I mean the hard surface stuff is decent. It's really hard to evaluate like hard surface models for regular props if they're not textured. In my opinion, I do appreciate to look at some like high poly renders from assets, but I really prefer to have them if it's gonna be on a portfolio that you apply for a game studio. The main thing I'm looking for is like game ready assets, because that's what we're gonna use.
Yeah. So looking at this one for Pavlov, like this is for a VR title, so I'm gonna guess that like the result in engine is not gonna look like this. I reckon they've bumped up the textures, and obviously they've put it through Marmoset to give it that like nice shine. But ultimately, this is how far the asset could be pushed as a final result. So
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there's always gonna be a little bit of downscaling when you put it in game. There's no way around it. But Well, this is okay. That's the guy. Yeah, I'm just gonna open up his portfolio on my screen because I'm just looking through the stream.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I would say on the boat, like I mean, it's a decent asset. It's probably taken from like a real life thing. Probably a WW2 canoe.
Yeah, the war canoe, bro.
The war canoe is the.
I got a question here from, so I want to make
Oh,
sure that we're addressing the stream.
oh right, yeah.
Daniel Bain, he's asking for making realistic props, what's the poly limit that one should think about when modeling? I'm gonna be honest with you, Daniel, from like my point of view on it, when it comes to folio content, I think you can be a bit more liberal with your poly count limits. It's more so, you know, I it's about being smart about like where you're using your polygon budget, right? Like if you know to place like extra geo on areas that are gonna really impact the silhouette. So like for example here, like the grinder, like these two circular pieces on the outside, you're gonna want to put more geo here because like that's taking up a lot of the shape. So making sure that that's nice and round, and then trying to find areas that have less kind of impact on it. That's really where you're gonna want to try and optimize more.
Yeah, there is a lot of like thumb rules, and I would say if it's for a personal work, I wouldn't mind too much. But if it's for like office work, for something they do for professionally, like the optimization might be or might not. I mean, depends on really. Like, sometimes you can have ridiculous amount of polygons. I know with Unreal 5 and the Nanite, you can go overboard and it doesn't really matter. Like the more polygons, the better. So it really depends on the purpose. But if you want to do traditional, as Bryce saying, like use geometry, whatever, makes sense. Like what will do the geometry justice? Like having a lot of geometry on like a flat surface doesn't really do anything. But if you have a curve or a cylinder, like those are usually the shapes that takes the most of the geometry. So when you have a lot of like shapy, soft, organic, hard surface kind of stuff, that's kind of where like the geometry will go over quickly and very like a lot. There will be a lot of geometry that you have to spend on those shapes to make them look good and believable. So it really depends on like if you have other areas where you have a lot of cubic elements, and there are a lot of them, like railings, we kind of try to make them into like maybe one plane and bake them flat and fake it so it looks like it's more geometry. So it's always like, what can you get away with textures, and what can you not get away with that has to be physical geometry that has to support a shape. Another good thumb rule that I usually use is also, does this geometry do any difference? Like if you have it or if you don't have it. So if usually when you model, you are quite zoomed in, so you can see stuff. And usually when you are zoomed in, you kind of see the edges are really big, and then when you zoom out, the edge that you have there in the geometry really is like small and really insignificant. So what you can do is just delete it when you're in the render camera view, and then undelete it, see if it actually does any difference. If it does too much difference, keep it. If it doesn't do anything, it barely even notice that it was there, just delete it, because it's not going to help you in any sort of way. That's like a good thumb rule to use that I usually use, at least. So. Is it so? Ask yourself: is it worth it?
In terms of in terms of geo, like it's like think about ROI. Like, is it gonna be a good return on investment when it comes to, if I put like 1,000,000 polys here, is it really gonna make that much of a difference to like how it's gonna be perceived? Like
exactly.
Yeah, smaller pieces. Also, you got to think about like how it's gonna be viewed too. Like, what's the platform? Like, I think VR tends to be pretty geo heavy. at times
Yeah.
because you're going to be viewing it up close. So having those assets that are really like well fleshed out that you could like rotate around,
Mhm.
that really helps.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like VR is, you have to go. I mean, depending on the situation on this boat, really, like if you are gonna be in it, then you rather like to have the hinges and the bits and bobs be really smooth and nice as they are here. So yeah, it's all good, all good.
Yeah. Last but not least, we got
All right,
Alexander. Yes. So another.
damn
I don't
that.
know. I thought probably going down like a more like professional route, like in terms of like just looking at people that are working in the industry currently and assessing like the work that they're doing, because I think it gives people a good idea of like, well, what is the quality bar that people who are working in the industry, what are they hitting, and like can kind of get an understanding, and we can kind of break it down. And like all these people, these last two, they've worked on projects. They're working for studios like mine, like Decagon and Upsurge. So I think it's worthwhile just getting. Oh, look, he worked with you, Empire of Sin.
Oh
Hey.
yeah, I saw it. So I was like, oh fuck, he worked on Empire since. Yeah, I remember these assets. They were good. That's what we needed for the game. Uh,
Oh man, we
but
gotta get some cross analysis.
oh shit.
Oh, let's.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not too much. Like, it's just two signs, so it's really hard to say. Like, these are really stuff that are really far away from the camera. If you're not like having your camera accidentally right next to them, so
Yeah,
they really do the purpose of it.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
actually they're showing like
can't
how
really see
far
much.
away. Yeah, you
Yeah,
got like the bar sign, and it's like it's all the way in the
yeah,
back. So like it's a perfect example like of the geo use case here. Like you can see that from what the actual camera in game is here, it's seen so far away. So like having it where you've got these jaggies, you're not gonna notice it. It's
I don't know.
so yeah, you got to think
I-
about the distance that you're trying to read it from.
yeah, I would still like smooth out the jagginess a little bit because I know if, in the game when you zoom over or kind of pan around, you can see the stuff really close, but it's not really the purpose of it. But it happens, and even though like the mesh that you kind of see like have in front of you in camera, and then you have your character right behind the sign becomes transparent. But um, just to keep it, like the
So
because this design is very smooth. I think it's baked, maybe, so there's not geometry. So just to keep it like within par. But then again, I don't really know what the feedback was for this asset. It was before I worked there. It was like 3 months ago. Oh, maybe it was. I don't remember. I don't remember. Like I think I've seen these assets in the game at least, but I wasn't at the time. I wasn't in the studio at the time where this was created. So, but cool. Yeah, I mean, we worked on the same game.
we have cameos, man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cameo, man. Oh, a guillotine. Guillotine. How do you pronounce it? Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a good asset in the whole. Like it looks nice. But just like when I focus on some of the details, like some of the metal bits that are connected to the wood, for example, or some of the wood planks, maybe they are a little bit too high frequent. Maybe it should be like nice with. Maybe it
Yeah,
would be nice with a bit of like resting space. Wood is not continuously like rough like that.
it's sort of difficult when you get up close to it because it's
Yeah,
really noisy, and
yeah.
yeah, I don't disagree. Like you could probably have parts that seem like they're kind of sanded or worn down, and it's like flattened out a little bit.
Yeah.
You could do that.
Just
Yeah.
yeah, just a little bit like less on the grunginess. I think will do this thing good. And
Mm.
also, like some of the metal bits look a little bit, like quickly made. I think I will spend a little bit more time on the metal, just to grab some like references of either real woodwork or like similar structures that looks like this that's bolted up and screwed together, and probably I mean this asset could definitely be very much improved. It was made 2 years ago as well for something, but and it was probably done with some sort of like art style in mind. Yeah.
Let's look for something that's a bit more recent. So like
Yeah.
this is more recent. So this is like a car model.
Nice.
This is an engine. So there's obviously a background asset. It's not a hero.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean the context of it is also. I mean, I don't understand the context. If it's like supposed to be in abandoned on a road or something like that,
here you
or
go.
a garage.
Part of a abandoned service garage set. So
Okay, I see.
it's the theme. It's basically, I think they're really going for a Last of Us. Is it Last of Us? Yeah, Last of Us kind of feel. With the
Sweet.
Yeah, you know how like their vehicles are set up like really.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Okay, yeah, it's sold like that. I see it on the big market right now. Yeah. I mean, if it's gonna be a game asset, I know like having rusty and abandoned vehicles, they are quite hard to create and make them look good. But something that is even more difficult is to just make variations of these. I think something that would be really appreciated is if this vehicle was be able to maybe it had like some fancy shader in Unreal that could make more variation on your asset.
I think that's the case. Yeah, like they've
It is the case.
Yeah, they've got like a shader that they've built for it. So the idea is that you've got a dirt, like sort of a dirt mask.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it
Well,
looks like the rust.
Case, perfect.
Yeah, I think the rust is actually painted in, but it's obviously they've masked it out. So, but it's pretty much color masked. That's what they've done. They've just made a color mask for it, and from there you can make a pink one, or a green one, or a blue one, or a red one. So, yeah.
Well, that's nice. That's appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to like rust on vehicles and stuff like that, there is also always like are we doing too much? Are we doing too little? Always depends on the context of it. So, but I believe this is something that's going to be in like outside and been there for a very long time, and no one gave a crap about this one for ages.
I don't mind it. I don't really mind it, to be honest. I feel like, I don't know. I've got this weird thing about Rust. It's like I've got a really love-hate relationship with it. If it's used correctly, it looks great. But if it doesn't look like the placement of it is like intentional,
makes sense,
done correctly, it's really easy to see that it's been done wrong.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. I think this one though is quite good. Like there is some good framing as well. Like there is areas of sun bleach and areas of like color preservation because a lot of light is going into those areas. So yeah, I mean it's a great piece. It's a great piece. Of course, there's always room for improvements everywhere, but it's good. It's good.
Bit of Sony action here.
Oh, is that Sony? Yeah.
Get yourself a nice Sony radio, mate.
Sweet. Another Sony radio.
No, different one.
Is it different?
Yeah, they changed it up. He's been doing all the CDs. Oh, he's got some pills.
Pills. Oh, this is like okay. Some small props that lays around in the world. Nice. Yeah, like it's. I know, and like what I feel with good art direction is like when it's consistent and when you have like really good props. And when the props really tell like a story as well, like the secondary story that is not really tell with the story that is in the game. What's going on in the universe. I think Cyberpunk has a really good way of doing that kind of thing, and Wolfenstein as well.
Mm.
So like the prop history. So
you got some examples from Cyberpunk?
The vending machines and like the magazines, like the stuff that you find in stores, like props in general.
Oh yeah, the old. Oh yeah, their talking vending machine.
Okay.
Remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean stuff like that does do a lot, and also like the items, the cans, the crisp bags, everything you can purchase like in those environments, or you can find in those environments is great stuff. And if that is very consistent with like the rest of the art direction, that is great, and they're having similar or nice good technical density that keeps up with the rest of it. So that's what I want to like say with this. It looks very consistent with like each other. So I believe that's a pretty good thing. The props kind of looks like they really do belong to each other.
Yeah, like one game that I really loved for like art direction was like Guardians of the Galaxy. I think like they just, I don't know if you've played it yet. Like that,
No.
that had a really really good art direction, just in terms of like really interesting abstract shapes mixed in with like high sci-fi hard surface.
Oh, that's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, like I really loved.
I haven't seen this.
Yeah, the skyboxes and everything like that.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Actually never seen even Guardians of the Galaxy game. Maybe I should take a look at it. It looks pretty. It looks really pretty.
It's gorgeous, man, and it's like it's not a long game. It's just a really good like story game. You know how like no one does story games anymore. Like I don't know. It's just a good story game. If you want something that you can just sit down, you want to just do a weekend where you don't leave the house and you're gonna play a game all weekend, like that's your game. So
yeah. Games. I'm more into making games that are just like making you destroy the whole world and have good physics. That's all I care about in a game. If it has good physics, and if you can destroy shit in the game, I'm all for it. I love it.
Let me guess, Chaos. You're the guy that's playing around with the Chaos system in UE4, mate. UE5.
Maybe.
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 I don't. Yeah, I think like these assets, they've been really well directed. They're not the most complex assets, but you can see that like there's still been some attention to detail on these, and like there's been an okay amount of time, so fits with the overall like aesthetic of the project.
This was also what I would expect from like a prop artist before, like a lot of stuff. Yeah, you have like one of those pages like packed with loads of assets that look good, and you can also see them in some sort of context as well. I mean, that's the case with every prop, really. I would like to see them placed in an environment, because that's how I can truly judge if they're well made or not. So if they stick out too much and doesn't really follow the art direction or the rest of the direction of the scene, then okay, well, I understand, and then I can make my decision out of that, which would be way easier than if I would have to like purchase the game, go into the area, and try like you do a prop hunt, finding assets. Where are these guys? Where are these? And then I eventually found it, and it's like, oh, okay, well, it looks good. Oh no, it looks terrible. Oh, whatever. But this is a pretty fun scene. I like these kind of things. It's like colorful, lots of details, lots of stuff, lots of props. Yeah, so this is a great prop piece.
I think the best thing, like, and this is, I gotta give props to Deco going on it, is that, you can tell that in terms of the assets that they do, like they make sure across the board, like they're consistent with each other, which is ideal. Like
No, it's true.
primarily, that's the most important thing is like consistency across the board with the assets that you're producing. Like
Yeah,
they all need to feel like they actually fit together. Um, so like props on like Clinton and his crew because like.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Yeah, Decagon has a really good reputation, and I know them as really talented guys. Decagon really produces good quality.
Yeah.
And I remember like working on the Romero games. I remember they said like Decagon was doing absolutely the best job of the outsourcers that we worked with, and we worked with a couple, and Decagon was like, yeah, we want more Decagon assets. But I don't remember what the time was at when we couldn't get a contract or whatever. But it's passe.
Getting a big old
It's
claws.
getting there.
Boom.
Oh,
Damages. Look at that. Oh.
that's pretty cool. The only thing I can say is still like a little bit more material. I would pay a little bit more attention to the textures and the
Yeah.
materials, so it doesn't look like there is a. I mean,
So,
like maybe there hasn't been a smart material slapped on, and then the artists have been working really heavy on painting every detail of Rust. But maybe that's the case of like I've seen the material before in Substance Painter, and I know which one it is. And for me, I mean, for me as an artist, and I don't know, maybe someone else that is like looking at recruitment as well knows which material that is. So
no.
try use maybe different Rust materials. Try use maybe photo references and stuff like that. I think that's gonna make your assets really good.
I think
Appreciate it. That's a good one. The last one, yeah.
yeah, I like
Good
that
Rust.
one. I
Yeah.
think like the thing too, like with these assets, is that these are getting viewed from a third person camera perspective too. So
Yeah.
if you're gonna go with like a really noisy like base material texture, it's gonna come out across a lot more because like these aren't gonna have as much textile density comparatively to an FPS asset. So
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's a very good point actually. Like
yeah, like
it's the grunginess is only good if you can have a good usage for it. But if it just makes it noisy and then you don't really know what you're looking at.
I feel like I really feel like this is your typical third person asset.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
don't know, I'm used to seeing this in a third person game. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have too much of a problem with it. No, I don't mind it when they do go that extra mile though, and they really do push it. Like I don't know, like I don't. I'm like this bolt door. I don't know, I'm not really a big fan of because I don't really feel like there's a lot of thought as to where the rust is being placed. It's just, I don't know, I feel like it's.
Yeah,
Just,
it looks a little bit random, but I think also something that that also could be improved is also like getting a little bit more of that metal details in. So, and also a little bit more of that, framing where you have like more, maybe a little bit more dirt rather than rust. Because I don't know if it has to probably be a couple of like good years before something turns really dusty. Like the mid section of that thing looks quite nice with the little metal details, like the scuffs and scratches, like the thick door kind of thing. And then the frame kind of looks a little bit I don't know, like it doesn't really look like metal or rust. It just looks like random colors. It doesn't have any material definition to what I can see.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, add maybe like a little bit more bold detail, something that catches light rather than making it flat and plain. Yeah, that's another thing with like assets. Like you're gonna use a lot, you're gonna reuse, and I see splotches on those chairs, for example, and I'm gonna see that splotch on every chair I see because they're connected to each other. Personally, if I would do something like that's gonna be repeated quite often, I would do the texture composition. I don't know what you call it, composition, or where you put like the details that are sticking out the most in a very generic and very non-unique way. So you can't really see the difference between the same thing if they are really next to each other.
Yeah. This batch of stuff isn't bad. I don't mind this. Is cool.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah. It looks like good junk. You put it in a corner. You have it like a lot of these in a abandoned or destroyed area. That's going to be great.
Yeah.
When you have that kind of like quantity of details, you can just force it in, and then you have like a pretty detailed and well-looking area with good lighting. It's going to be perfect.
More third-person weapons.
Oh, third person.
Yeah, they're all third-person weapons.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think yeah, texturing is something that is really hard to nail and make good. Like the model. I mean, personally, I think like the model doesn't necessarily matter too much. But if the texture is like you can save the model, it's a great model. But if the model is great and the texture are flat or crappy, it's just not gonna make the model any justice. It's just gonna like push it up and make it pop and make people take a look at the model and be like, "Wow, this is a great piece." And I think that's like kind of the thing that's going on here as well. Like the texturing is not really making the model any favors. And this was a year ago. Yeah, I would look really hard at like just making texturing small bits and texture them really good, and just try to improve as much as possible with like material definition, contrast. How do I make the material believable yet not too noisy? Work with those kind of elements. How does it look in the game? Pretty much. So you don't have, and also if you tend to like put on a lot of smart materials. And you leave it like that. Try not to put smart materials at all in the beginning. Use like slate colors with good PBR values, and then kind of build your own smart material from the ground up. So you add the dirt, you add the scratches, so you have like a little bit more of an understanding of what you're actually doing with the texture.
I think I'm probably gonna just end it sort of here, like with in terms of like the reviews. Just also want to like feature. We've got Sassine. They're doing a challenge.
Oh, to do it! Oh,
yeah,
nice.
the asset challenge. Yeah,
Actually
we got him like
great.
He's like working away at it, so he's got it going on in
Great.
Awesome. Yeah, in case like you guys don't know, like we're running a monthly asset challenge on the Discord server. So basically, every month we put up like a new asset, and essentially you guys just go and produce it, and we'll pretty much critique you, give you feedback in the Discord. Link in the description. Also, like it's coming to mid March at the minute. We're probably looking at a new intake of like mentees that wanting to come in. There's also a link to that in the description. You can also go onto the Next Gen Dreams website at www.nextgendreams3d.com. And if you want to sign up for a course with Ivan over here, like and you want to get some feedback one-on-one with this guy, like he's if you enjoy the critique.
I would love to get people under my wing and help you out and teach you all I know. Yeah, so don't be shy.
Yeah, so good. It's great to see progress. Do you wanna? Do we wanna just give some feedback on like this current HP, like while we got it up?
Yeah. I mean, we can do that if you have time. Like we can give it a little bit more feedback. I guess this is a ZBrush model. I think in general, like the shapes are pretty nice. I think there is some proportions that could be a little bit more adjusted, like making the little round thing in the middle maybe should be a little bit bigger. I think the thickness of the thing is quite good. Maybe I would make the black little push button on the side, onto the left side next to the dial, a little bit like thicker. And also maybe exaggerate the rib the
ribbing
dial thing. Yeah, the ribbing on the dial thing a little bit more, because so you don't get like a lot of flickering when you go a little bit further out from the thing, and it's gonna be easier to texture it as well. So just maybe halfen the ribbons on that thing and make them a little bit rounder, smoother. So, and also on the same on the other guy. Other than that, I think it's actually pretty decent proportion. Maybe feels like it could be a little bit longer.
I think yeah, and with that circular detail in the middle, I think maybe thickening that strip in the middle a little bit more, because like even in the concept it's thicker, just so like you can have an easier time getting the detail onto that. Yeah, definitely on the dial, like have less is more, because like you got to think about how far away this is going to be seen and read from. So it's kind of I really don't have much other than that to add at the minute. Like this is pretty. He's got. I got one. There's one more screen. Let me.
Yeah.
I got one more. He's got like the mesh.
So something that I would add as well to this one, to the sculpt, is to maybe smooth out the hard edges a little bit more, so it's a little bit softer. Trust me, it's just gonna catch way more light, and it's gonna be nicer in the bake, so you don't get like sharp, hard edges. That's gonna be a little bit difficult to texture as well.
Yeah.
Get it nice. But awesome. Great initiative. Oh, so this is the blockout, or is this
so this is
the low poly?
This is before like it goes through the ZBrush HP process.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, so this
okay, so he's doing like a complete ZBrush low poly blockout into ZBrush, and then he just does all the details in ZBrush, like punch outs all the holes and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, Daniel.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, Daniel's just commented that he thinks he should join the challenge. I'm like, yeah, man, go for it. Like, my thing is like, if you want the opportunity to get some feedback and just, my thing is it's a community. It's about driving community engagement. So if you want to get more involved in the community and you want to, start getting your work looked at more, like more than happy to, just post, man, post. That's all I can say.
It's a great way to get feedback for sure. And also I want to mention that I also do these challenges as well. So in the end of the month, I'm gonna present my model, and we can all just have a look at all the models and then discuss if there is anything that I've done in my model that you would like to see, how I recreated or how I did it. I'm more than happy to just present that in a call or in a stream. So
yeah. All right. I think we're good to end the stream, man.
We're
really,
good.
Thanks for joining as always, and
no worries.
It's good to do a bit of portfolio reviewing, guys. Also, like if you want to get your folios reviewed for the next one, just post in the community portfolio. We wanna be able to see the stuff that you guys are making, and just be able to sort of give our critiques. I can already see that in the community folio at the minute there's quite a lot of really good stuff too. So yeah, we'll be checking those out and just giving you our thoughts on it. So thanks for joining, and see you on the next stream.
Yeah, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.